Hello, welcome to our presentation. Today we would like to share with you our proposal to solarize condos for a better Toronto. The challenge we are looking at is how can we meet the City of Toronto's goals of greenhouse gas emissions reduction by capitalizing on the demand of green energy seeking urban dwellers. We identified the overarching solution to be integrating a viable solar financing model into Toronto's utility companies. We believe that this fits into Toronto's zero emissions buildings framework, and we have identified Sunrun, a US company, as a proof of concept, which my teammates will be getting to further. Now, we first identified the target for this financing model. We identified location to be Toronto. We are looking at addressing energy use for common areas of condo buildings, and then we are specifically targeting condo owners, developers, utilities, and the City of Toronto. We believe that the condo owners and developers will be able to utilize these financing models along with utilities who will be the provider of this, and then this will serve the overall goals of the City of Toronto.
Looking at the industry analysis as a whole, there's been an increased growth in solar energy within the American market of about 36%. This growth is a little bit more stagnant in Canada due to a couple different factors. Low crude oil price has basically meant that people are less open to looking at new sources of renewable energy. There's also a reliance on hydroelectric dams as the main source of renewable energies as a whole. However, secondary to that is solar energy, which we see an increased growth in, mostly due to the fact that it would be a good mitigator against the controversy on reliance of hydroelectric dams at current, as the fact that it is increasingly seen as damaging to the environment. Additionally, there is a strong uptick in interest for solar energy, mostly due to the Toronto Zero Emissions Framework, which has just been posted by the City of Toronto, which has looking to increase a reliance on renewable energy by 5% within the urban population.
As stated before, our overarching goal is to integrate a viable solar financing model into utility companies. We examined 4 different financing options to find the most suitable business model, meaning the one that is beneficial for condo corporations and owners, but at the same time profitable for a company to take on. Therefore, we built a model calculating the NPV of the installation of solar panels over 20 years. We started with a base case model, assuming that the condo corporation continues its status quo and not implements solar energy at all. In addition, we assessed the following 3 financing options. The second case is buy-in finance. In this case, the condo corporation takes out a loan and installs solar panels on the roof of the condo building. In the subsequent years, the condo corporation has to service the debt and take care of administration and maintenance of the panels. The fact that parts of the energy supply come from renewable energy could potentially increase the willingness to pay of future buyers and therefore the value of the condos. We included this case to assess whether there is a need for alternative financing solutions. As you can see from the table, we found that the buy-in finance solution leaves the condo corporation and owners in a worse position than the base case. The next case is the classical lease-to-own concept. In this scenario, a utility company acts as a full-service provider, meaning it takes over installation, operation, and maintenance of the solar panels, making use of lower costs due to economies of scale. The ownership of the solar panels goes over to the condo corporation in the course of the years, so that the solar panels are entirely owned by the condo corporation after the contractual period. This option could be more attractive for customers than the buy-in finance case, since the initial payment is lower and the utility company takes care of all administrative issues and the installation. The lease-to-own model turned out to be not profitable for a company because of high capital expenditure. Lastly, we assessed the business model that is used by Sunrun, a leading home solar battery storage and energy service company in the US that has had significant growth in the last few years due to their unique business model. Similar to lease to own, the two parties enter into a long-running contract. The condo corporation pays a fixed amount per month in exchange for the energy produced by the solar panels on the condo building. The main difference is that the solar installation company owns the solar panels and just sells the energy created to the customers instead of the solar panels as such. The ongoing payments are set to be equal to the amount the customer would have paid otherwise. As a result, there should be no difference between Case 1 and Case 4 for condo corporations from a financial perspective. The condo corporation benefits from non-financial benefits, and a utility company taken on the model makes money out of it. Therefore, we recommend utility companies to adopt the Sunrun model. I now hand over to Elia to go into the basic assumptions of the model and explain how the Sunrun model is profitable.
For the purposes of our models, we made several assumptions, but we would like to highlight a select few. The maximum potential solar power generation was based on a solar panel study of Toronto. And given the amount of power condo buildings require, we knew that their available roof space wouldn't be enough to power the entire premise. So we piggybacked off a City of Toronto emissions building framework that recommends every building have at least 5% of their energy come from renewable energy. And we've seen in that study that some companies are making their condos solar ready in anticipation of cheaper alternatives to installing solar panels. In our attempt to reduce the barrier of entry for customers who want to sign up, we also set the annual payment as equal to the utility costs they would have to be paying anyways. This takes cost out of the equation and boils the decision down to a choice between using green versus using dirty energy. Finally, the customer acquisition costs, installation costs, and recurring costs are all benchmarked to averages of current market conditions. Additionally, we've assumed maintenance economies of scale that are similar to other solar companies that perform maintenance. Now, with all of that put together, we get the following unit economics for case 4. What we see here is that for every watt of electricity that is deployed, we would get a lifetime value of 12 cents per watt. This may seem like a little bit, but considering that the average building consumes about 750 megawatts per year, it has a significant impact over the long run. And now I'll pass it over to Tracy.
So looking at the value adds here between each, the solar industry, the condo dwellers development, and the City of Toronto, we're seeing increase in incremental value, especially with regards to the solar industry. So a big barrier with regards to why solar isn't being used currently is that people see it as a big upfront cost and a lot of issues with regards to maintenance and development. So with this model, we're looking at creating less of a barrier with that, with the maintenance being done by the utilities company, as well as also creating economies of scale where the price would be significantly diminished, which is also recommended within the Toronto Zero Emissions Framework as well. For condo dwellers themselves, they profit from lower utility fees as the volatility is offset by payback into the system. This also leads to lower greenhouse gas reductions, which is also set out within the framework for the Toronto Zero Emissions Framework. For the perspective of the City of Toronto, there's also mitigating the volatility in price, again, something that's set out within their framework, and it meets their government targets of 5% in each condo having renewable energy sourcing as well. Furthermore, this also adds green value as a differentiator for people that are living within the City of Toronto, especially with increased population that's coming to Toronto. They're seeing this as a big value in terms of how they see the city and where that goes.
Now, moving on to the risks and mitigation measures associated with solar panel projects. There are various risks which can appear throughout the entire project lifetime. As can be seen on the table, risks can range from company risks, to construction risks, and finally climate or weather risks. To mitigate climate and weather risks, condo developers can either adopt net metering practices or make use of battery storage. Company risks can be mitigated by looking at credit assessments and conducting a thorough competence and industry analysis. Lastly, construction risks can be offset by making use of completion guarantees, progress reports, and construction contracts. Finally, let's focus on the growth potential that is associated with the solar panel project. Sunrun sets the precedent and proof of concept for our business proposal. As of today, Sunrun does not plan to expand its business activities outside of the US market, making Toronto and at a later stage Canada the optimal market for our business. Looking at the growth potential or scalability of the project, the prospects look promising. The City of Toronto has set out various targets for electrical demand reduction, natural gas consumption reduction, and thermal energy generation for 2020 and 2050 respectively. As mentioned before, the City of Toronto has issued requirements for all city-owned buildings to install renewable energy devices that could supply a minimum of 5% of the building's total energy load. The framework further requires buildings to be solar ready. Solar readiness means that buildings need to be designed in a way that solar PV systems can easily be installed at some point after the building has been constructed. The City of Toronto's requirements and its attempts to lower GHG emissions are supporting our business case and offer a tremendous growth opportunity. The utility company would start by offering the solar panel integration service to condominium developers in Toronto. After having successfully positioned the service in the industry, further steps to increase the market share can be considered. The company could either focus on offering the solar panel integration concept to individual homeowners or start with an expansion into different geographic markets, for example, offering the service throughout Canada. Thank you for listening.